This is the Scrunch Pouch project, and there are 4 pieces that you need for this. This is the inside of the larger piece, the outside of the larger piece, and then you've got 2 smaller ones, and they're going to make the pocket for the inside. So that one goes there, and that one goes on top. So first job that we need to do is to just place the 2 larger pieces together so they line up perfectly, and then I've just got a pin here. Now the pin is just over where the channel will be, which we're going to put in a little bit later to put the cord in to allow this to be a drawstring pouch. So I've put a pin in there just to show where the gap for that drawstring starts and finishes, and then on the other side I've just transferred 2 little heat erasable pen lines either side of it, just to allow me to know where I need to put my buttonholes, because that is going to be one of our first steps, but we need to mark them now so we know where they're going to end up. So the first kind of stage for both of these is to get these 2 panels attached together. So now that's marked, I'm going to take that off, pop those face to face, and once they're face to face, other way around, perfect. Then I'm going to sew all the way around the outside, but leave myself a little gap so I can turn it right side out. No, right. So I'm back from the sewing machine. These have all been stitched all the way around, but there's a couple of little things I wanted to show you which are going to make your life a little bit easier. So number one, on the back of the buttonholes here, I've actually put one of the scrap pieces of fabric that I've cut out from the panel. There's a few little bits left over, so I've added that to the back of there, and that's just going to give those buttonholes a little bit more strength, because obviously you're only sewing through one piece of fabric for that. And then secondarily, once you have cut everything, you need to snip all the way around those edges. That will help you when you turn it right side out, because it'll just allow that fabric a little bit more movement. So I'm going to do the same thing to this one, snip all the way around those edges. The other thing I wanted to point out on this smaller one is, because the print is much closer to the edge, just pay attention when you're on your way around that you kind of try and keep the same distance apart from each of these kind of leaf points on the edge of the mandala, because then that'll give you a much nicer finished look. So I'm going to put the snips in this one, take both of them to the ironing board, turn them right side out and give them a good press, and then we'll start on the next step. I'm back from the ironing board. This has all been pressed out and that open edge tucked under and pinned, and that's on both of them. So now we've just got a lot of top stitching to do. So the first thing to do is top stitch all the way around the edge of both of these pieces, and then on the larger piece you also want to top stitch in these 2 circles that are printed on here, and that's going to create the channel that we put in the buttonholes for earlier. That's going to create that channel ready for your cord. So I shall go ahead and do those pieces, and then we'll come back for the final steps. All the top stitching is now complete, so you can see I've gone round the very edges on each of them just to keep those seams pressed nice and open, and I've also gone around the channel that is going to create where our drawstring is going to run as well. So from here, the next point we need to do is get this piece and this piece lined up in terms of their pattern. So what I'm going to do is take just one of the little kind of tops of the leaves on each of those, and then line it up with some A point, oops, there we go, A point on the other side, and I need to do the same on that bottom edge. So eyeballing it from here, that's about in the center, so I'm going to take that and pop it through to the other side. You can see I need to turn a little bit to get that lined up, because it's exactly the same pattern front and back. So what I'm trying to do is get the top of there lined up with the top of the blue bit on the other side. So I'm just going to put a pin in, but I'm not going to pin it completely because I want to get it lined up in all of these sides. So I'll turn it round and I'll do the same again. Oh, that wasn't bad, that was pretty close. There you go, with the blue. And then we'll have a look on the other side, top of there, with, again, not that far off, with the top of the blue bit. There you go, and get these all pinned into position, because that is going to mean that when we start to sew the pockets into here, that it's going to match up with what we've got on the other side. So it just needs to go up a tiny touch, that's it. Perfect. So we've got those 4 in position. We now need to go back around and put in the other 4. So you can see I've kind of done north, east, south, west, and then we need to put those other points in as well. Once I've got that in place, I'm going to add additional pins towards this circular bit in the centre, just to make sure that absolutely everything is held in position and isn't going to move as I start to sew it. Once I've got all my pins in, then I need to start adding the stitching for the pockets. So first job is to go round, you can go through round any of these circles, but I would probably recommend going round the this one here, the one just in between the blue and that brown one. So pop a little circle of stitching in there. Then from that, you're going to go from that stitching that you've just added out towards the edges, towards where you've put those pins. And you can use the pattern as a little bit of a guide, or you can come in and add some lines using your rulers as well. So again, using the pattern as a guide, I'll just move that pin out of the way just for 1 second, and I'm going to pop a little line in right the way to the bottom of that blue circle there, and you're going to put all 8 of those in, and that's what's going to create your pockets. So I'm going to take this to the machine, stitch that circle, and then stitch these lines, and then come back and we'll be ready to put the drawstring in. It was a little more difficult to explain earlier about why I was asking you to position things in certain ways, but now I'm on the machine, it's a little bit easier to show you. So I did mention that you wanted to sew between the blue band and the brown band, and the reason I've said so there is if I just lift that up, can you see it fits exactly into this black line that's running round here, because it's all kind of measured to fit absolutely perfectly for you. And also another really good tip is, if you're finding it hard to sew, because obviously that one's a little bit of a tighter circle, there is absolutely nothing wrong with just hand turning your machine all the way around. And one of the other sneaky things that we did was this little circle in the centre there. If you set your stitches at 2.5 millimeters, you'll be able to see just up here that the stitches almost exactly fit each of the little panels on there. So it's just another feature that you can kind of add into it to make really kind of precise precision looks to your sewing. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this all the way around, and you can see I've used that heat erasable pen just to mark out those straight pieces. When I put the straight pieces in, I'm going to forward and reverse just at the bottom of the pocket, because obviously we don't want anything slipping into that centerpiece. And also when I get to the top of the pocket, just up here, I'm going to do the same there. Just come to the end and then reverse back. Almost complete on the scrunch pouch now, and the last piece that I have to do is just to add the cord. So as you can see, they're all stitched in front and back. They're the buttonholes that we put in right at the beginning, and now's the time we're going to use those to put it in. Now, I've got a needle here, plastic needle, that you'd find in a kind of kids sewing kit, and rather than try and thread the cord through, because the cord is quite thick, I've actually sewn it onto the needle, because that's going to do 2 things. One, it's going to make it really, really secure as I'm pulling it through, and then secondarily, it's going to keep it quite nice and slim and flat as I try and pull it through, rather than trying to get it through that plastic eye and having it doubled over like that and quite bulky. So we're going to go find the buttonholes that we put in right at the beginning, and then using the plastic needle, we're going to slide this all the way around and get the drawstring in place. once you've got the cord all the way around, then you just need to snip off both ends of that, and then I'll pop a knot in them just to make sure that they are nice and secure. Or if you've got any scraps of fabric left from the offcuts where you've been cutting the panels out, you can always sew some little tabs on the end if you want to. So we will put knots in both of those, and then if I flip that back over, you can see when we start to scrunch these up, it actually creates lots of little pockets within the bag. Let me just see if I can get this a little bit more evenly spaced around there. That's better. So you can see it creates a lot of little pockets within the bag, and then you can add all of either your sewing bits, you can put makeup in there, put anything you like in there, and then when you want to use it, you can open the cord right the way out and lay it flat, and when you are not using it, you can scrunch it all the way up and take it with you.